So it's day two of England versus Ireland at Lords, and well, Vish, it's been one-way traffic really, and you know England batted at 6.33 runs per over, the fastest recorded rate over an innings of more than 20 overs in English history, and yet it was all a bit meh, wasn't it? I mean, it's more Bazball than Bazball, wasn't it?
Yeah, it feels. Typically we're spoilt by it already. It's just gone a year. And we think, oh, you know what? Come on, do something new, entertain us. They're absolutely right about the British media, aren't they? Sports people. We really do turn on them as soon as they get good. There was a point maybe midway through, just in the middle session, where I did wonder, like, who is this for? Because it felt like everyone in the stands looking up to clap for a boundary and over, which is fine, but more or less just milling about, keeping themselves, enjoying the sun, enjoying some drinks as well. But to their credit, I think they actually brought a bit of respect back into the game by declaring when they did, because I think there was every chance that you would have given Harry Brook a longer bat out than the 7 balls he eventually faced. You might want to get Johnny Bairstow in there. Stokes hasn't played since the start of April in the IPL. There were reasons to bat on, and they didn't take them. And I think maybe that was we joked about maybe this being over in 2 days, but it felt more, if not respect to Ireland, then also respect to the game and what lies ahead. I think they just have to get into maintain the habit of winning, I suppose. Because you could argue they probably got burnt in that second test in New Zealand, where they thought, why don't we follow on? Let's see what this is like. We haven't done this in a while. And it came back to sting them. So I think by and large, great, not a brilliant spectacle, but they've probably got out of it what they need so far.
I mean, joking aside, Ben Stokes restated the England ambitions in his programme notes, said, we aim to score runs quickly, take wickets quickly, and win matches as quickly as we possibly can. I mean, they haven't deviated from that script at all, and they're well on course for a very handsome win in which, you can't really complain that there's much that they haven't got right.
Yeah, there was I think there was a tweet someone put out that, do you remember back in the day when we used to complain that England would bat on for too long and the declarations would come too late? This declaration came too early in some people's eyes. But yeah, I suppose it's absolutely staying true to the values, and I think it was helpful that Josh Tongue had the period that he did at the end of the match from taking those 3 wickets, the only 3 wickets that have fallen. But I suppose he was also responsible for the Dickie ankle as well from McCullum. But yeah, it felt like having him, his burst at the end there added a bit more credence onto what England got out of this day. Because Ben Duckett's a good opener, we know that. Ollie Pope's a very good number 3. We're on our way to figuring that out. And the fact that he ticked off a double 100, Duckett ticked off his first Test 100 in England. At a place like this, that is quite meaningful regardless of the opposition. You've mentioned before about Bangladesh in the lead up to the 2005 Ashes, and I wasn't around for that, but you said it very much had whiffs of that, where you're sitting around thinking, God, what is really in it for us? And actually, it's more what's in it for the people in the home dressing room. And I think Stokes would be pretty happy, especially if he has a Sunday off on the golf course.
As for Ireland, as you mentioned, McCollum's injury is a horrible issue, but fortunately for them, he's not involved in their ODI squad, which means, so far, touch wood, they're going to come out of this game with, a few sore feelings maybe, but, going into that Zimbabwe exploit, which frankly is the most important thing for them on the horizon, they've got a few overs in legs, they've got a few runs potentially out there. There's still something you can get out of this, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose the only worry would be how Andy Balboni comes out of this test, because it was a rotten shot in the second innings just then, when just no footwork, just flapping it a wide one. He's clearly really struggling at the moment. But beyond that, it feels like everyone's in decent order. Gary Wilson, the batting coach, did the media at the end of play today, and he spoke about the necessary, what they need to get out from the rest of the game, because they're not going to win it, they're not going to draw it, but they can at least leave with something. And while he also did say that it won't affect how things go in Zimbabwe, those players, they don't want to be embarrassed. Wilson said they weren't thinking about losing the game in 2 days. That was not a possibility in their heads, which is something, because it felt like everyone was talking about it on day one, maybe even the day before this match. But it feels like, the application that you saw from the batters today, it felt a bit more worthwhile. There was that, mini period in the first innings where it felt like, they were building back something up when they were 3 down as well. And and the pitch does seem a bit flatter. You know, Tongue bowled very well for his 3 wickets, so who knows what happens tomorrow? They could frustrate England. It feel like the game is going to finish tomorrow, but it could finish deeper in the day, and Ireland feeling a little bit better about themselves than they certainly do tonight.
Well, yeah, as Vish alluded to, back in 2005, England won here by an innings in, I think, 2.25 days. It didn't exactly affect their form going into the Ashes. In fact, it probably helped it. So we'll see. It's certainly on the way to helping set up a fantastic Ashes summer.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.